welcome everyone to the last and final segment of the Color Me series. And today we are filming Color Me Love. And love is not usually an attribute that we associate with the workplace because love is associated with romantic love and so on. So we want to really explore with Kay, who's our guest for today, on why love is an essential quality to have in leadership, in the workplace, and as a woman in this Women's Month, how has she brought love into the workspace? So thank you very much, Kay, and welcome.
Thank you, Carol.
So Kay, when I sent you the email asking you to be our Color Me Love, you sent me an email back and you asked, but why did you choose me for love? And I've been explaining to you that this will be our icebreaker. According to the 8 qualities and how we define them, love in the workplace is how you serve, a deep desire to serve others. And what I've seen with you since the first time I spoke to you, I don't know if you remember, you were in a car and unfortunately we couldn't speak face to face because you were in Durban at that time, and you wanted someone to do a talk for your team, and we ended up with, I think, the Buntu girl.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
But what I found interesting as we were unpacking with you, as I was unpacking with you, what it is that you wanted to do for your team, you kept saying, I'd love my team to walk away with something. It was always about them, and I found that quite interesting. I thought to myself, the one thing that she keeps putting forward is the team should walk away with something. The team should feel like this is valuable. And I thought, okay, maybe it's because it's the Buntu girl and what it is that we're discussing. But over time, whatever else that we've done has always been, and even in the work that we have done recently, your biggest concern when we have meetings is, will people understand? Will it be accessible? Is it something that they can work with? Let's hear their voices. And after one particular meeting, you said to me, Carol, it's important that we hear all voices and not squash them. And for me, that sounds a lot like the love that you have for others, not concern. Concern would be, I hope they're okay. But you're always front and center trying to put the person first before yourself, or what makes it easy for you as a leader. And that means, in some cases, I've seen you say, let's hear from everyone, even if it takes longer, but let's hear from them, let them contribute to the process. And that, for me, is my reason for choosing you as Color Me Love. I don't know how that lands.
Perfect. Thank you. It resonates. It's all, I can connect the dots and I see where it's coming from. And when somebody else tells you about it, then you realize the impact that it's having, that sometimes personally you take for granted.
So you said you resonate. What do you resonate with around the concept of Color Me Love and love as a leadership style that one must have?
I think as a leadership style, if you don't have a love for people, and if you don't love people, and if you don't see people progress and grow and understand, then it is a problem. You've got to love people. Secondly, I think you've got to love yourself, and maybe it's even firstly. When you wake up in the morning, even before having a love for people, it's about loving yourself first. And it's something that I think is easier said than done. And when we speak to ourselves, the constant reminder for me is, what do I say to myself that even the person that loves me the most would never say? And then you realize sometimes how unnecessarily harsh we can be on ourselves. So this concept about loving the workplace, I think, starts with loving yourself and loving what you do, and then having a love for people. And it's not about getting your job down. It's about the impact that you're having on people. And that probably is why it's something deeper than like and getting a job done. And maybe that's why the term love resonates with me.
Thank you so much. No, you really articulated it well. And the way you said it starts with loving yourself. I don't know how easy it is for people to love themselves, you know, because depending on which religion or wherever you're coming from, the concept is always love others before you love yourself. And turning that around now, and being female, being a woman, sometimes being a mother as well, we're constantly giving and giving and giving. So how easy do you find it to actually love yourself so that you're able to love others?
So firstly, it's not easy, and the reason I say it's not easy is because society has taught us that when you put yourself first, you're neglecting other things. It's as a mother and as a woman in leadership, in a leadership position, you just get taught that when I put myself, I'm potentially doing it at the cost of something else. So it's easier said than done. It's something that you have to consciously work on and work on all the time. That there's a saying that we can't give of ourselves as wives, as mothers, as women in leadership, unless we take care of ourselves, and we can't give of ourselves unless we take care of everybody else, and our role is to take care of everybody else. But unless you take care of yourself, you can't give of yourself fully to other people, because they pick up that you're distracted, they pick up that you're sick, they pick up that you're sad, they pick up that you're not giving them your full attention. So it's only when you love yourself and care for yourself can you give somebody the full attention that they deserve. Can you give them a really well constructed response? And if somebody says to you, I'd like to talk to you, the only way you can say, I'm dedicating this 30 minutes to you wholeheartedly, is when you know that you've taken care of everything else sufficiently. So it is easier said than done, but if there's one message that I could leave out there, is just learn to love yourself first, and then loving everything else becomes a little bit easier.
When we think about the concept of love once more in the workplace, it's complex. For you, what does your love look like? How does it show up and manifest itself?
So people who know me well would probably have the answer to this already, and their answer is going to be, a definition of love in the workplace is tough love. And tough love is being honest with people, having very open conversations with people, being transparent with people. And it might not sound the typical definitions of love, but in the workplace I call it tough love. That if I know that I've got your commitment, if I know that you are showing up every day to do your best, to be the best version of yourself, then I know that you and I have a contract, and that I can grow and develop you and give you that honest feedback. So my concept of love in the workplace is about tough love. I think it's also about consciously taking the decision that if you wanna walk far, you walk with people. If you wanna walk fast, you're gonna walk alone. And if you wanna walk far and you wanna take people on their journey with you, then you've gotta love them. You've got to want to take them on that journey. And if you don't love them in the workplace, it's about having the difficult conversations about why we don't have a constructive, open relationship, an honest relationship. Why can't we work together? And once you get over all of those difficult conversations, then the journey is a beautiful one to walk with, even in the workplace.
That's very interesting coming from a woman, because, and why I say so, you know, is because the assumption is when women lead or when women work together, they will give the soft kind of love, and the soft kind of love looks like cuddling, you know, and you are showing a very different form of love from a female. How does that sit with others and yourself as well, and how is it interpreted? Because this is the expectation versus how you are actually showing up, and to you that's love as well.
So I think as women, we're very fortunate. I don't think we should look at ourselves as less fortunate. I think we're very fortunate because certain things come to us naturally. Things like empathy come to us a little bit more naturally. Things like love, and the use of the word love in the workplace might even be a little bit taboo. It's in the conventional workplace when we use a word like love, it automatically depicts you as somebody soft, as somebody not courageous enough to make difficult decisions, take difficult decisions, be controversial. But we fortunate because certain things come to us naturally, and I don't think we should be apologetic about using terms like love and beautiful in the workplace. I really don't think we should be apologetic about it because there's different forms of love, and love doesn't necessarily mean soft and cuddly and not being able to do the hard stuff in the workplace. It's similarly with your family. You always love your children. It doesn't mean that you have a bad day and that you've got to take firm discipline. It doesn't mean that you've got to take corrective action. It doesn't mean that you've got to punish. Um, so it's very similar, you know. We as women, we are not always soft and cuddly and even in the home space, we make difficult decisions. We juggle a lot of things, but we still do all of it with love for our homes and our families, and ourselves, hopefully.
That's quite interesting because you're talking to the integration of the person that you are at home and the person that you are in the workplace. And as women, I sometimes sense that we leave behind that person, and we forget that at home we are making those decisions from a place of love, not a place of anger. So bringing those attributes into the workplace should be acceptable for the female as well.
It should be. It's not again. It's not easy, and it depends on the organization you work for, and it depends on the culture of the organization you work for. It should be easy bringing those attributes into the workplace. You shouldn't have to leave them behind, but it's all down to what type of a culture it is. And again, as women, I don't think we should be apologetic, you know, and be authentic. It's just the easiest thing that anyone can do for themselves is be yourself, be true to who you are, and be authentic. And that is so much easier than trying to be someone else or be like someone else or be like a male leader. I'm sure men lead from a place of love. They just show it differently. You know, maybe they show it in the form of words or in the form of actions in a different way that women would.
What has shaped the stance that you have now? Because I'm pretty sure it's been a journey. If you look at your work experience, your life experience to get to this place. I once said to you during our conversation, you're solid. You remind me of a tree trunk. And what has led to this very solid understanding of the way I show love is my way, it should be accepted as well?
It probably started from quite a young age. I think just growing up, we were brought up to have like a real deep love for animals, strangely. And it was a connection that we had from a very young age with animals, and just that my father would pick up a stray dog or pick up a dog that somebody was giving away, and at one point we ended up with 13 dogs and a horse and a couple of cows and chickens and everything else at home. So it was probably growing up with having that deep love for a pet from an early age that is very different to love for your parents or your siblings, because your pet is something that you taking care of and you're responsible for. So if I go back, it's probably been cultivated way back then. And then just as growing up, again, it was our upbringing that our family was loved to hug. So show affection and not be afraid of it and not be distant about it. That actually maybe just made it easier bringing it into the workplace. And then again, the sense of achievement that you see in other people, the sense of progression that you see in other people, the high performance team that you're building is just love shown in a very different way. We don't speak enough about it, and we don't speak enough about I love how that person's grown, or I love the piece of work that this person's done. It ticks the boxes, but we don't always make the emotional connection with it. And I just come from a place of making the yes, I've ticked it off my list, but it's also made an emotional connection with me to see somebody give off their best work.
Oh, that's a very beautiful story. Love the animals, and you know how you can pull it back so far back. I had to look after something. I had to look after an animal that couldn't talk, and have knowing that you can pick up a stray dog and make it healthy and so on. What do you think gets in the way of showing that love in the workplace, or applauding someone and saying, "I love the way you've turned out. I love the way you've done your work"? What stops us?
Probably two things. If I had to be brutally honest, I think we stop ourselves
Okay, tell me more.
because we're probably so focused on being the correct version of what you were employed to do that you're not being 100% authentic. So I think that stops us a little bit just from being truly ourselves. I think sometimes it could be organizational culture that could stop it. It's how am I perceived in the organization. Um, it could be the balance between hard measures in a business and what are the absolute KPIs that you look at versus, I don't like to call them softer because they're not softer, they're actually the harder work around building relationships with people, you know, all of those interpersonal skills that we have with people. So it could be how much of that is encouraged and fostered in the organization. I'm very lucky that I work in an organization that encourages it, and you see it. You see the nth degree that people will go to for the sake of our business and our customers. That doesn't come from hard KPIs. That comes from interpersonal relationships that you have with people, that you build with people, that they're wanting to do more because they see the greater purpose behind it.
So what I'm hearing you talk today is the intentionality, being intentional about building relationships. It might not show up as cuddly and soft, but people get that intentionality.
I think they do, and I definitely don't experience it as cuddly and soft. The way I see people reciprocate, and I could be wrong, I could be marking my own homework here. The way I see people reciprocate from coming from this place is that they just want to get up and give off their best every day. They want to put their best foot forward and they want to do their best work. So, so it is intentional, um, but the way people reciprocate about it isn't exactly what you want. And it's because they see that when you've given them your time and when you've given them your input and when you stretch them and when you've believed that they can do a lot more than they're doing, the way they reciprocate is that they just receive it while they progress, they grow, and maybe it's not that intentional, and maybe it's just a beautiful unintended consequence.
So Love the definition. Love and a beautiful unintended consequence. Oh,
People do their
wow.
job.
Okay. What I loved about what you just said is it's not one thing that allows you to lead with love in the workplace. It's that ability to give feedback. It's that ability to notice what's going well with the person. It's that ability to encourage them, to believe in them. Then when you do all those things in combination, the person reciprocates that love and shows up by doing their utmost best, by doing more than what you ask of them.
I think they do. I think they do, and it's not because you expect them to do more. And they're not doing more for you.
For themselves.
It's for themselves. And another unintended consequence is that they're probably learning to love themselves and love what they're doing and love their own work and love coming to work. So it's got all round benefits.
So learning to love, to lead with love, will lead to people loving themselves unintentionally, but you find that happening. What advice or what thoughts would you share with other women that are growing in their ranks and want to lead with love? What would you tell them?
It's probably a difficult start, but if I had to reflect on a turning point, it really does start with loving yourself. And loving yourself is about not doubting yourself. Women often do this. We often have moments of self-doubt. And it's probably again in the spirit of Women's Month and so on. Men probably have a lot less of that. You know, you offer a man a job, he'd probably say, yes, I'll take it, and then learn how to do it. You offer a woman a job, she's probably going to find all the reasons why she's not competent to do it. So the advice that I've got for people is it has to start with loving yourself, trusting your own capabilities. You're more capable than you think.
If there was one question that you'd love me to ask you about leading with love, what would that be?
Another question. I think you've asked them. I think you've asked all of the questions. Probably one that I'd maybe like to elaborate on a bit more is why not being afraid of the term love in the workplace, and why be free to use it more often. And maybe if I elaborate on that, firstly, maybe it's just a habit that, you know, some people have a saying, and maybe my saying is, oh, I love that, or I love that for you, or. But I think if I could elaborate on one thing is whatever your characteristic is, whatever your leadership trait is, whatever you've known become to be known for, don't be afraid of using it. So it was actually you who brought this to my attention, that it's only after somebody else tells you how you embody it in all that you do you realize, hang on a moment, actually I do that, and I do that. So, and I'm not going to apologize. And now that somebody else has pointed out how it adds value, I probably would end up dialing it up a little bit more in an authentic way. So the advice that I've got is, don't be afraid to use some of the terms, in as much as they come across as more maternal or feminine. As long as you know in your role as a leader that you are doing and handling the difficult stuff in your authentic way, and people are responding to it, go for it. This term love in the workplace is probably very intriguing for a lot of people. They're like, you know, love, leadership, work, how does this all go together? But empathy is about hearing, meeting you where you at, understanding your problem, and hearing you and feeling you in a way that doesn't also make me become the problem with you, if that makes sense. That I have to be able to hear you, make you feel like you've been heard, and help you in that way, without totally becoming absorbed by whatever it is that your problem is. And maybe that is the difference between love at home, is where when my child is sick or my child is hurt or whatever, I am empathizing, I'm sympathizing, I'm doing everything. In the workplace, empathy is love. It can be love because I'm taking the time to listen and to understand the place that you are coming from. And that is showing love. The fact that I am sincerely listening and helping you solve your problem for yourself is love. But me solving your problem for you in the workplace isn't necessarily love. It's a shortcut.
It's now infantilization, treating you like a child.
Yes, yes, it's a shortcut. Saying let me do it for you is a shortcut. Teaching you how to do it for yourself is love.
So we've heard a lot today about how to lead with love, how love plays a very integral role in how we show up. And it doesn't have to be soft and cuddly and red. Your love could be green, it could be purple. But understanding yourself and loving yourself will really pave way for others to flower and flourish in their own way. So that's it for myself and Kay. Have a lovely Women's Month.